All right, guys, welcome back to Mod and Pop Thrift. My name is Tom. I'm a full-time eBay reseller. I've been selling on eBay since 2012, but it's been my only job for about 5 years now. My wife is a high school math teacher, and so I am a stay-at-home dad for our 6 children. This week did not go well, and I almost opened the video by saying I didn't have good sales this weekend, which was not true. The weekend was good, but the first part of the week was so bad that the whole week feels like it fell short. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The reality is I had 3 days that were $115 a day on average, which just does not cut the mustard. So then my days that were a little better, more average kind of days for the weekend, I felt I really needed the weekend to really be good in order to save my week, and it just didn't happen. So Monday, you'll look at this and I'll throw up. Monday was 206, and then Tuesday was 118, Wednesday's 123, Thursday's 110, and then we go up to 298, 189, which is not a great day either, 284, and so that's the week, right? That's 7 days. So my last 7 days it was only $1,000 in sales, which isn't enough by a long shot. And so my, having a $300 Friday and a $280 Sunday is pretty good, but I needed Saturday to be like $350, $400 in order to save the week. So it is Monday morning, and I only have 17 items to ship this morning. We'll go over those quickly. And then what I did, I'll tell you, Friday, re-upped my promoted listings back to 11% and put everything on 1 day handling time. And so that kind of gave me activation in the store. The promoted listing got my impressions up, which the impressions, everybody's right, impressions are nothing, but they aren't nothing. And they got my page, I don't know if my page views went up or not, but anyway, it got people looking at the things in my store, and it got things selling in my store. So I got to 300 on Friday. And then Saturday evening, I listed 30 items. I was listing basically all night. From about 3 o'clock, I started taking pictures, had 55 items, because Levi's like, you should list 55 items tomorrow, Dad. And so I got pictures of 55 items to list. I listed 30 as I was doing family stuff. I was doing it on the kitchen table and helping make supper and eat supper and watch a YouTube video with the kids and, that kind of stuff. And I'm taking pictures of 55 items that I needed to get listed. And then, while they're working on whatever it was that they were working on, playing video games, being children, I'm on my phone listing items on the couch. And then I took my phone to bed, and at 11 o'clock, I'd hit 30 items listed for the day. And I just text my accountability guys about YouTube. I'm like, I hit 30. I'm calling it for the day. Good night. And I put my phone on the nightstand, and I went to sleep. And then I woke up, and before I got out of bed, I listed the other 25 items. So by 8 o'clock the next morning, I woke up at like 6:30. And for whatever reason, I am really efficient at listing. I can list so much faster when I wake up and am laying in bed. I can just get it done and list those 25 items. Took me maybe an hour to just get, once I had the pictures, to get listed. So I had 55 in that 18-hour period. And so that helps a lot. But then, and I mean, it's Q4, but I have to keep this momentum up. So I have to continue listing 25, 30 items a day, and watch my promoted listings so that I'm not giving too much away, and make sure I'm getting everything shipped out on time. And I'm trying to make YouTube videos too, and I'm trying to raise 6 kids. So I'm a busy man. Anyhow, we have 17 we need to talk about today. They're all pulled right here beside of me, so we'll just sit right here and do the thing. You guys remember I bought that $5 box of ornaments and I ended up donating most of it back the same day. Well, this ornament is not, it is not an ornament. And this Lanissa is a thing to look out for. I wish they hadn't taped the box because that hurts the value significantly, but not too significantly. This is a tree topper from the early 50s. And I didn't know if that angel was supposed to be on there, but there are some wire wrapped ones. You can see it's missing some colors. This is from a company called Shiny Bright. And Shiny Bright is kind of the bee's knees of Christmas ornaments. So this was on top of the box that was $5. And then I sold, maybe you guys didn't get to see, I sold these tiny bulbs out of that for, oh, it's not gonna be on this list. I wanna say I got $29 for those. The Shiny Bright, I got $29 free shipping for. The small group of, the group of tiny Christmas ornaments, I also got $29 free shipping for. So that $5 box got me $30 out of just the ornaments I could see on top. And then I told you guys there was that weird Santa Claus that I said Evelyn broke. Turns out she lost it, and I found it like behind, she dropped it behind the couch essentially. And it wasn't broken, it was still back there. So this is it's just a pole, and it has Santa Claus and a reindeer, and the reindeer is on a spring, and when you let him go, he just jumps all over the place, has a conniption fit until he gets back to where he was going. Really simple kind of vintage Christmas toy. Not as old, like you would think this would be a thing from the 30s or 40s, just from the way that toy design was then and is now. It feels like an older technology, but this says 1986 Dakin on it. And why I'm telling you that is because this sold for $60. There were none listed, and I was like, oh, that's weird that there are none listed. Oh, well, let me hit it and see if any have sold for $5. And there were like 6 sold and 0 listed. And they were like 45 plus shipping, 50 plus shipping. And there were several that were $50 plus $10 shipping. And I was like, well, let me list mine for $60 free shipping and see how fast it goes. And it went in a day. So if you see these dumb little, then there's like this could be a Christmas tree, it could be a reindeer, this could be Santa Claus coming down into his empty sleigh, it could be a Christmas tree. There's one that's like a ball that represents, and then this is the North Pole, and it's like a snow-covered globe, but it's just a wooden ball painted white, and Santa Claus is coming down. There's whatever the figurines are, this thing is ridiculously desirable for Christmas. For such a silly little Christmas ornament, I was shocked. So those couple of things sold, did really well. This surprised me as well. I paid $2.85 for this little box set. It would have been $2 had they not priced it up at Goodwill. It's Christopher Pike, and I get the impression it's kind of halfway between like Goosebumps Fear Street and the Hardy Boys, but like this is just a box set from the early 90s. It was quite desirable. I'm trying to see what the date is on it, but there wasn't another one listed just like it. 1988. There weren't any of these box sets listed. There were a handful of solds, and I listed mine for $69.99 free shipping, just putting it out there to see what would happen. I don't do a lot of that, but this had some sales velocity, and it had a pretty high sale price. And I felt like mine was better than most anything on the market. So I listed mine for $70 just to see, and then I got a $40 offer, and I'm like, I got $3 into this stuff. And as it turns out, I did not buy this to achieve top of the market value. My point when I pulled this off the shelf for $2.50 wasn't to say I'm going to be personally invested in like my self-worth in how much money I get for this. I'm going to tie up my heart and soul in making sure that I get the most money for this, because that will make me feel better and I'll get the dopamine rush from getting the top dollar for it. And if somebody sends me an offer, they're a terrible person and I can feel good about rejecting their offer and holding on to my product and it not selling. What I did instead of that was bought this for a very little bit of money, put it on eBay, and when somebody wanted to give me more money than that for it, then I accepted that money and I run a business. So was $40 a really low offer on something that was listed for $70? Yes. Was it making a bananas amount of profit for $3 worth of paperback books? I think so. So don't get your self-worth tied up in having items priced high and hoping to get that price, because that is a recipe for disaster. Picked this hat up, Mr. Met, New York Mets. This is fitted. It's semi-fitted. It's elastic and it's medium large. There weren't any Mr. Mets hats listed in this $39.30 variety. And so I priced it a little higher than I expected to when I picked it up for $2 at Goodwill at $18 free shipping. I was expecting it to be like $12.99 free shipping when I paid $2 for it. And new eras do really well, but normally 59.50s are the ones that do well. So that one being $39.30, I really wasn't anticipating. I thought it would be $2 into $10.11 plus shipping. $18 free shipping, is it really that big of a difference? Maybe not. But when I saw that there weren't any other, like Mr. Met is a big deal and cooler than if it was the Cubs mascot. Nobody likes the little cubby guy mascot as much as they like, if that was whatever the Phillies mascot is, the Mets mascot, things that you recognize as iconic mascotting. Now, the other day I bought a juicer, and I told you the tool should sell first, and they sell for $15. And then I sold two of the other parts. I paid $4 for this Jack LaLanne juicer, and it is not worth selling as a whole thing, generally speaking. But you can move this piece for $15, and then these are the other pieces that I've moved in just a handful of days. Like, I think I've owned it for 2 weeks. So let's say you're a viewer of the channel and you have, 8 of those things sitting on a shelf in your basement unlisted. If you were to list go into my store and click sell similar on the things that I have listed, there's a good likelihood that you could sell all of your parts fairly quickly, because when I list them, they get sold. Not that I'm calling anybody out specifically. $8.50 free shipping, paid $1 a piece for these, sold them all eventually. Everything's a $1 sale. They said Department 56, so I grabbed them. If I had known how worthless they were, I would not have grabbed them. Something I've been ranting about recently is expecting, like, everybody's talking about sell-through rate. Sell-through rate is objectively one of the, I was going to say the most important metric, and it might be. You could make an argument that it is, but if somebody wanted to argue with me that it isn't, I could hear an argument that maybe something else is more important. But sell-through, I was talking about these and sell-through rate, and there are a bunch of these listed, $75, $100. I paid $10. Those hit 100% sell-through rate at $40. So if you want to list it for $65, $70 and let it sit forever for a year, that above about $50, they get down to 10% sell-through rate. It is ridiculous. And so pricing that out and saying, okay, so what's the sell-through rate on things listed and sold that are Harry Potter audio cassette books? Because this is, in case you were unaware, this is the first 5 Harry Potter books on cassette tape. And they are read by a very famous, like, I don't care much about Harry Potter other than my kids and my wife and my brother and his family like Harry Potter, but evidently Jim Dale is the man in audiobookness. And so Jim Dale reading you Harry Potter is a desirable thing. But if you price this at $55, the sell-through rate becomes 120 days. If you price it at, or the sell-through rate becomes 6 months. If you price it at $41, I sold them in 3 days. They are at 100% sell-through rate. If you price them at $40. So as much as I agree with all these people who are saying the best way to have success is to sell items that sell, not list items that don't sell. Listing items that there are 100 listed and 10 sold, expect to have low sales. That is true. But an item like that has a 100% sell-through rate if you dig just below the surface and say, a lot of these are way overvalued. And if I look at what is listed only $40 and under, then, and that is still meets my metric for pricing, then I can buy it and price it there, and the sell-through rate at that price. Let's forget everybody who priced theirs at $65 to $100, because that's not the game I'm playing. And I price mine in that market where it's a deal for somebody. Now that market has 100% sell-through rate, and the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say. No one says that, but that's the saying. Anyway, so I sold those in, they were listed on the 8th and sold on the 10th for $41. But if you look up Harry Potter audiobooks, it's a 10% sell-through rate and not worth getting. So we need to do just a little more digging and make sure that we're not passing up profitable items because we think we have to price at the top of the market, like my Christopher Pike book. I priced this at the top of the market because there weren't very many listed, but I was willing to come down off the mountaintop real quick if somebody was willing to put money in my hand, and that's what happened. Bolo time. I had never heard the most posh sounding skillet you ever heard of. Royal Prestige. This one's been washed so many times you can't read the name on it anymore. Royal Prestige is the name on this pot. I'm trying to make sure it's right side up. Nope, it's upside down. Royal Prestige stainless steel. Feeling the quality of this and looking at the sales, I've never heard of this, and I thought it was Salad Master sitting there, and it has comparable sell-through rate with Salad Master and really good prices. It's not 100. This would be an $80 skillet in Salad Master. This one is missing a piece. Like, I'll show you the other lid. So this is a perfectly good lid. It has this little vent thing. This one is missing that part. That is part of cooking with this brand, that it has that vented lid. And so this one sold, I paid like $4 for it, and it sold for $30 free shipping. But this is like, almost like second because it's missing this piece. This one, which is the same diameter skillet, but it's a little bit deeper, and it has the good lid. It sold for $50. Yeah, $49 dollars free shipping. So I'm in $8 and out for 80, but then I have to pay eBay and the Postal Service and the federal government. But look out for that Royal Prestige, man. I have what is, as it turns out, is a Dutch oven. It looks like a chili pot, but then it has like another pot that goes on top of it, and I'll put a picture of it. And that one's listed pretty high. I mean, I listed it with the comps, but it's worth like $90. And then I had one other pot that is listed for like $35. And then one of them had gotten so hot on the bottom that it had delaminated here. And so the skillet itself was worthless. But this is one screw to take the handle out, and pots and pans that are that valuable, people want replacement handles if they break the handle. So I listed the separate handle, but look out for that Royal Prestige. Quite shocked at how valuable that brand, I've never heard anyone mention in any direction, was. I was shocked. Okay, so if you've been with the channel a whole long time, you'll remember I bought a bunch of hats from a McDonald's manager. I paid $1 a piece for like 80 hats and a whole bunch of pins from McDonald's. And I got the most valuable hat I've ever sold. Ended up selling for like almost $300. And I got a bunch of other hats, and I still have some of the hats. I've sold most of them. This one is a Rookie of the Year Tony Stewart hat, new with the tags. Paid $1 for it, probably been a year and a half ago. Sold for $10 plus shipping. NASCAR just doesn't perform like it did 3 or 4 years ago. The hats have always been a little hit or miss, because hats are just a little hit or miss. Like this Charlotte Hornets hat is a great hat. Not all vintage Charlotte Hornet hats are cool looking and desirable. So if you get one that's vintage, you can't expect it to sell right away. This shirt is from Picasso, and I've never heard of Picasso before I found this hat, and it is vintage single stitch, made in the US. I paid $3 for it at a thrift store where I was just picking up lots of stuff cheap, and it is pretty funny. I don't know if you wanted to pause that and read it. I didn't actually read the limerick on the back. It's just funny, the getting attacked by a dog, as far as I can tell. Anyway, it's a parody on Picasso, and it's a pig, and it's a vintage shirt, and there was some sales history with it. When I bought it, I priced mine for $24 plus shipping, and it sold buyers all in at $32, but it probably took 6 months. It's not the kind of thing that sells real quick. McDonald's manager who sold me a Tony Stewart hat sold me a vase full of pins that he would have had as a McDonald's manager, but a bunch of other random stuff too. And this was listed. I should not have listed this by itself, but it did sell. So it's just a pickle. Hope your Christmas is a dilly. And it sold for $3 plus shipping. But it couldn't be a lot easier to mess with, so I got a sale. Everything's $1 sale. I spent 50 cents a piece on a bunch of Care Bears. And I told you guys I was done with the Care Bears. I was out of the Care Bear business. Well, this person ordered them by accident, and 28 days after they arrived, they returned them. And here's another thing. I don't care if they rented it. Like people are like, oh, that person obviously just wore these shoes 2 times to the party that they ordered them for and sent them back to me, because I have to make up stories about the people who are buying things from me to make myself feel better. When I get a return, I get to lie or tell stories I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, this person bought them and filed a return, and they came back to me. It's a little aggravating because I thought I had the sale. I'd reinvested the money already. and I had to give them their money back and relist the product. But there's no reason, it doesn't help anybody for a person to say, and you see it all the time on Facebook, especially in YouTube land, people say that, oh, well, I sold these shoes and then they asked for a return after 3 days and there was New Year's Eve in between, so they must have just wanted them for a New Year's Eve party, and when they got done, they sent them back to me because they rented my shoes. You have returns available and you make enough sales to make it worth you continuing to sell stuff. And if you are a petty child, then you make up stories about people on your playground. If you are an adult running a business, getting returns is part of the deal. And telling yourself a story about why the person who did the return is not as good a person as you is not helping anybody. It's not helping you. It's not helping your customers. It's not helping your business. But I understand, like, it's crappy to get a return, especially, and it feels like the returns always come on days where you're not getting enough sales anyway. And Kevin, the Commonwealth Picker, says they always come in threes, which, you know, that's kind of a colloquialism. It isn't, it's essentially true, but yeah, everybody kind of feels like they see that way. And so I understand that. But, so returns suck and we tend to get emotional about them. But the idea that you need to say, well, this person wanted to resell it and they listed it and they weren't able to sell it, so they sent it back to me in 2 weeks because I have 30-day returns, and when they couldn't make a profit on me in 2 weeks, they just sent it back. Or they wore it to a party and then they sent it back, or they gave it as a gift and the person didn't like it, and so then they're making that my problem. Make it, you don't know. Stop making up stories. It's a business and you're an adult. You're running a business. Walmart doesn't care why you return stuff. You're running a business. Be an adult. I'm in a feisty mood today, folks. Genesis. This one is beat and does not work. But it does have the all black sticker on the back, which makes it the trademark security system. So if you put a game into this and it goes boop and puts up trademark on the screen, and then it says this is protected by trademark, and then it says Sega and the Sega thing. If you're into vintage video games, you probably know what I'm talking about. If this one wouldn't put up the screen, it just goes straight to Sega. And it has, generally speaking, a better sound card in it than the later ones that may even say high definition graphics, but have the distinguisher for you looking for these. This is called a non-TMS. I always say it wrong. TMSS. Non-TMSS is the earliest version of Sega Genesis. It only came out with Altered Beast box. By the time Sonic was around, they didn't have the non-trademark security system anymore. And so you're looking for these older ones that have a little bit better software. Maybe it's hardware. It's a card, so it's probably hardware that has better software on it. Anyway, it's a better, for people who are real picky about what their video game sounds like. I'm not that guy. I just like to play them because they're fun. That is a better system. And so it's worth like a regular Genesis working, just bare naked working Sega Genesis Model 1 would probably sell for $35. That one sells for $35 not working. It would probably be $50, $55, just like that if we said it was working. So look out for Sega Genesises, and especially the ones with the all black FCC card. Everything, or retro truckload sale, so I have no idea what I have into it. I have $500 into all of this stuff, and that is just one little piece of the pie. $13.29 free shipping. I listed it for $13.99, and somebody was watching in it within the first 5 minutes, so I sent them a 5% offer, and they took it and paid. So that's fantastic. Salad shooter. I bought a salad shooter for $2.50, and I didn't realize that it didn't have the stinking power cord with it, and I didn't have a stinking power cord to put with it, so I couldn't really test it. So when I was in doubt of whether or not I'd made a good purchase, I chose to part it out. Like, I'm going to mention Commonwealth Picker again in this video. When in doubt, part it out. And these salad shooters might make you more money parting them out even if you know that they work, but if you can buy them with some confidence, even not knowing whether or not they work, because I've already sold 2 other parts, and these were the parts I expected to make money on, and these sold for $19.99. I paid $2.50. Those parts sold for $19.99 plus shipping. Going through a bunch of stuff from the retro truckload sale when I was trying to make Levi's 55 items list, I listed this pile of, what did I call it? Boxes, manuals, paperwork, vintage lot, Atari 2600. I thought I put wholesale. Maybe I put wholesale just in the one that was Nintendo. So I had just a bunch of random, like, the manual to an individual Atari game is almost never worth money. Even like if you had the one for Mario, you might get $4 or $5 for that one, and that's a higher end game. So individual manuals are not worth money. If you can add it to the cartridge, it'll make it more likely to sell, but it doesn't add a lot of value. So those were not worth listing individually. I just listed them all together for $9 plus shipping, because I knew that would move them quickly, and I had nothing into them. So I just I didn't want to throw them away, but I didn't want to keep them, and I didn't think that they would bring much money, so I listed them low enough that they would sell quick. And selling things quick makes your stuff in your store sell. Let me rant about this for just a minute. I think we are done with the things that sold. So, eBay, let's think for just a minute, and this is just in my brain. So I'm not like reading blog posts and getting into hacking how eBay works. This is in my brain. eBay is a server that hosts your items. So what eBay wants is for items to come into their server, make them a little bit of money, and be gone. And so it would only make sense for them it would only make sense if they do. Only is the wrong word. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Like, it makes sense that a good way for them to operate would be to favor items that have a high likelihood to sell quickly. And a way that you could measure that is if this buyer or if this seller lists things and they sell quickly, then we can conclude that their listings are worth showing to people so that we can get things onto our server, make a little bit of money on them, and move them along. And if an item is more in a seller's store who is more likely to move it onto the system, take up time for a year, make them a little bit of money and move on, that is not as good for eBay as an item that moves in, sits a day, moves out. So I firmly believe that, and I, for no reason other than I just think that it works and it works in my store, I believe that eBay shows favor to sellers. Algorithmically, it is fortuitous for you to list items in a way to get them to sell quickly, because eBay doesn't want your crap clogging up their system. If your crap makes them a little bit of money as it passes through, that's what think about eBay. eBay doesn't sell product. All they have are computer systems for you to host your items. So what would be annoying to them is having somebody who lists stuff that sits for years and years and years and clogs up the gears. If you're a seller who lists stuff that sells right away, then you're making them money and making you money without being in their way. So I will continue to list things in a way. I'm only buying things now that are really high sell-through rate and profitable. Like I'm not buying shirts that are $12.99 and I don't know if they're ever going to sell. Like pay $1 at a yard sale. I can list this for $12.99 and it might sell in a year. I'm not doing that anymore. And I honestly believe that those things, like in my head, eBay is watching and scoring. Okay, you have 1,500 items in your store and you sell, let's look at mine. So I have 1,470 items in my store and I have 875 sold. And so like more, that's more than 50% of sold to, depending on how you calculate. I'm starting to think the way we've been taught to calculate sell-through isn't correct either, because I haven't sold 50, what would be 60 something percent of my store. I've sold, because over the 90 days, I have 22, 23. I'm just doing rough math in my head. 100 items. And the sold portion is like 33%-ish. And I'll put the real numbers up there because I'm doing really rough math in my head just to make it quick and conversational. But either way, whether you calculate it as I'm a little over 50% or I'm a little under 33%, my overall, eBay can look at my store and say, when this guy lists stuff, it has a high likelihood of making us money quickly. So we're going to list it. We're going to give him a better search position. And then he's going to pay a little bit more for search position with promoted listings. So it is advantageous for eBay to show my listings quickly because I list things that sell quickly. Is that truth? I have no idea. I know that I pay a promoted listing fee to get, eyeballs, but I also believe that by pricing things right, pricing things at a bargain for those buyers where I'm still making a comfortable amount of money, is helping eBay to want my items to sell more than, eBay wants to make money on every item that's on the server. But if they know that when this store lists things, it has an average shelf life of 2 years. And when this store sells things, it has an average shelf life of 2 days. When somebody's searching for the same item, which one do you think eBay's going to raise up? How is that going to affect the search results? Is the 2 year, well, this guy hasn't had a sale in a while, so we're going to put this one out ahead because we think this guy deserves to get a sale? Or are they going to say, well, obviously this guy is selling things to lots of people and people are buying his things as soon as he gets them listed. So he must be doing a better job for our customers and getting things, making us money and getting things off of our server quicker. We're going to give search position to that guy. All things else being equal, this guy gets a better search position, gets a better position in search results, I would assume. And I sell a lot of stuff relative to the size of my store. There are a lot of people who do a lot better than me. There are a lot of people who have 100 items listed and 250 sold, and 1,000 items listed and 10,000 sold. I'm not that guy, and that guy probably sells things as soon as they get listed. But I think that pricing regularly, like this Christopher Pike thing it sold really quickly, or it didn't sell really quickly, and I priced it at the top of the market because it was more unique. But as a general rule, the things that I price are at a bargain price and listed well, because I believe firmly that it makes all the difference in the world on the eBay algorithm to know that when you list an item, it has a high probability of selling, and that is advantageous for both you and eBay. And so they're going to set their systems up so that your items get shown if you are the guy who sells things as soon as they get listed. And the longer it sits, the longer it comes up their gears, and the less likely they are to give it position because it doesn't do them any good. All right. Class dismissed. Thanks for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, clicking the bell, following, all the things that you do. We'll see you on the next one.